I'm Claire Dawson, 28, lead software engineer at our family's company, Dawson Dynamics. On a muggy Friday night in October, I sat at our Austin dining table, expecting just another ordinary family dinner. Instead, my world flipped upside down. My dad slammed his fist on the table, his voice booming. "Claire, give up your position at the company or you're out of this family." My mom nodded, her eyes cold, adding, "Your sister will be taking over as CEO. She's the future." My sister smirked, sipping her wine as if victory was already hers. This wasn't dinner. It was an ambush. Dawson Dynamics had just reached a milestone. The app one had poured my soul into had generated $100 million in revenue. I built it from scratch, debugging every line of code while everyone else slept. Yet here they were, crowning my sister, who couldn't tell a server from a spreadsheet, as the new boss. The ultimatum hit me like a freight train: surrender my position or be disowned. My stomach churned, but I locked eyes with them, forced a smile, and stood up. "Fine," I said, my voice steady despite the sting. I turned and walked away, leaving behind the family and the company I had given everything to. They thought they had broken me, but I had built a safeguard into Dawson's Sync, a security lock only I could unlock. 6 months later, the calls came, desperate and endless, as their empire crumbled. I simply replied, "Remember that dinner?" "I don't forget." "Before we dive deeper, tell me, what time is it where you're watching, and which city are you in? I want to see how far my story has traveled." 14 months earlier, I was coding my heart out in our Austin office, dreaming big. My days blurred into nights, hunched over my laptop, building Dawson Sync, an AI-powered app to streamline supply chains for retailers. It was my baby, a dream to revolutionize how businesses moved goods. I'd code for 18 hours straight, fueled by coffee and ambition, tweaking algorithms to predict inventory needs with pinpoint accuracy. My boyfriend, Ryan Porter, a brilliant software engineer, was right there with me, debugging lines of code in our cramped office near Lady Bird Lake. We'd high-five over a fixed bug, our laughter echoing through the quiet nights. Dawson Dynamics wasn't just any company. It was my dad's legacy. Thomas Dawson, our chairman, started it in 1985, back when Austin was just a sleepy college town. He'd built it into a mid-sized tech player, and I grew up hearing stories of his hustle. My mom, Susan Dawson, handled finances, keeping our books tight and our reputation polished. She cared about the family name, always pushing us to look the part at industry events. Then there was my sister, Monica Dawson, 2 years older, all charm and no code. She thrived at networking events, tossing around buzzwords like disruptive innovation, without understanding the tech behind them. I'd roll my eyes but let it slide. She was family, and I figured we'd find a balance. By spring, Dawson Sync was ready. Ryan and I ran final tests, watching the app crunch data faster than anything on the market. We pitched it to a major retail chain, and Carlos Vega, their supply chain manager, signed a deal that changed everything. Dawson rolled out across their warehouses, cutting costs and boosting efficiency. The contract brought in $100 million in revenue, a number that made my dad's eyes light up. At our next board meeting, I remember standing in that glass-walled room, presenting the numbers. My voice was steady, but my heart raced. Ryan squeezed my hand under the table, his grin saying, "We did it." For a moment, I thought I had earned my place, not just as the coder, but as a Dawson. But Monica had other plans. She started showing up at tech meetups around Austin, schmoozing with startup founders and venture capitalists. At one event near Dell's headquarters, I overheard her telling a crowd, "Dawson Sync is just the start. My vision will take us global." Her vision, I bit my tongue, but it stung. She'd never written a line of code, never stayed up until dawn fixing a crashing server. Ryan noticed my clenched jaw and whispered, "Let her talk. You built the real thing." I nodded, trying to focus on the app's success, but Monica's words kept creeping in. She'd breeze into our office, dropping phrases like strategic synergy, while glancing at my laptop as if it were a foreign object. My parents ate it up. Dad would clap her on the back, saying, "That's my girl," while Mom nodded, her smile tight but proud. The tension grew, subtle but sharp. At a family barbecue, Monica pitched her global expansion plan to Dad, buzzwords and no substance. I tried to chime in about Dawson's scalability, but Mom cut me off. Let your sister shine, Claire. Ryan shot me a look that said, stay cool. I did, but it felt like swallowing glass. I started noticing how Dad's emails to me were shorter, focused more on logistics than praise. Mom's calls centered on Monica's latest networking win, not my late-night coding sprints. I told myself it was just business, that family would come through. Ryan wasn't so sure. One night over pizza in our downtown apartment, he said, they're leaning on Monica too much. You need to protect what's yours. His words stuck, planting a seed I wasn't ready to admit. By summer, Dawson was a hit, but the spotlight was shifting. Monica's charm offensive was working. Investors had started calling her the face of Dawson Dynamics. I'd walk into meetings and feel eyes slide past me to her. Once, Carlos Vega pulled me aside after a demo and said, your app's a game changer, Claire. Don't let anyone steal your thunder. His words hit hard, but I brushed it off, hoping my family would recognize my worth. Ryan kept me grounded, reminding me, you're the brains behind this. They'll see it eventually. I wanted to believe him, clinging to the idea that my work would speak for itself. But deep down, the ground beneath our family was shifting like a fault line. Monica's ambition was growing, and I was starting to wonder where I fit into their vision. By summer, my phone had become its own battlefield. I was still riding high from Dawson Sync's success, but the air in Austin's tech scene was sour. Monica had escalated her charm offensive. At a packed tech meetup near Dell's headquarters, she worked the room effortlessly, flashing her perfect smile and dropping lines like, Claire's great at coding, but she lacks the vision to lead. I read it in a blunt text from a colleague. Your sister's trashing you. My jaw tightened as I stood in the Dawson Dynamics office, the hum of servers mocking my rising anger. Monica wasn't just networking, she was undermining me, painting me as a one-trick coder in front of Austin's startup elite. Then came the calls. Susan rang one humid afternoon while I was debugging a new Dawson Sync feature. Her voice was calm but sharp, like a knife wrapped in silk. Monica's showing real leadership, Claire. She'll take the company further. You should stick to the technical side. I gripped my phone, words catching in my throat. Before I could respond, she hung up, leaving me staring at a blank screen. A day later, Thomas sent a long text. Monica's been talking to investors. She's got big plans. We need you to support her. Support her. I had built Dawson Sync, the app that brought in $100 million, and now they wanted me to step aside for Monica's empty buzzwords. The pressure hit me like a slow burn. I felt like an outsider in my own family, their voices echoing Monica's so-called vision. I paced our Austin apartment that night, the city lights flickering outside. Ryan sat on the couch, listening as I vented. They're rewriting my story, I said, my voice shaking. Monica's out there lying and Mom and Dad are buying it. Ryan leaned forward, his eyes steady. You're the one who made Dawson Sync. They can't take that away unless you let them. His words cut through my fog of frustration. He was right. I had to protect what I'd built. We started strategizing, not just for the app, but for my place in the company. That's when the idea hit me. Dawson Sync's core algorithm, the one that made it a game changer, was mine. I could lock it down. Ryan, always practical, suggested an authentication lock, a biometric safeguard requiring my fingerprint every 72 hours to keep the algorithm running. It's not sabotage, he said, grabbing his laptop. It's insurance. We got to work in our apartment, the glow of our screens lighting up the room. I modified the code, embedding the lock deep in Dawson Sync's architecture, disguising it as a standard security protocol. Nobody at Dawson Dynamics would notice unless they dug into the source code, which Monica couldn't do if her life depended on it. We tested it relentlessly. Ryan ran simulations mimicking server crashes to ensure the lock held. I'd scan my fingerprint, watching the system hum back to life each time. This is your shield, Ryan said, his voice firm as we finalized the setup. I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and defiance. The lock wasn't just about protecting Dawson, it was about protecting me. If my family wanted to push me out, they'd learn what happened when you sideline the person who built your empire. I still held onto a sliver of hope that Mom and Dad would recognize my worth. I realized Dawson's Sink wasn't just a product, it was my legacy. I kept working, tweaking the app, answering Carlos's emails about expanding the contract. He'd call directly, saying, "Claire, your app's saving us millions. Keep it up." His praise felt like a lifeline, a reminder that someone valued my work. But at home, the distance grew. Monica's name dominated Thomas's emails. Her strategic meetings filled his calendar. Susan stopped asking about my projects. Her texts now centered on Monica's latest investor lunch. I'd read them and feel my chest tighten, as if the family I knew was slipping away. Ryan kept me sane. One evening, walking along Ladybird Lake, he grabbed my hand. "You're not just a coder, Claire. You're the heart of that company." I wanted to believe him, but Monica's rumors spread faster than I could code. At another tech event, a founder pulled me aside. "Is it true you're just the tech grunt behind Monica's big ideas?" I forced a laugh, but inside I was seething. The groundwork was being laid. Monica was stealing my spotlight, and my parents were paving the way. That Friday night in October, the dinner table became a war zone. I sat across from my family in our Austin home. The clink of silverware cut through the silence. I'd spent months pouring my soul into Dawson's Sink, the app that brought in $100 million for Dawson Dynamics. I expected a pat on the back, maybe even a toast. Instead, Thomas stood up, his face hard as stone, and declared, "Monica's taking over as CEO next week. Claire, you need to resign for the good of the company." The words hit like a punch to the gut. I froze, fork hovering over my plate, as Susan added her icy voice. "If you don't, you're out of this family." Monica leaned back, lips curling into a smug grin. "Face it, Claire. You're not cut out to lead." The room felt like it was closing in. My heart pounded, but I forced myself to breathe. "You're serious?" I asked, my voice sharp. Thomas didn't flinch. "Monica's got the vision we need," he said, folding his arms. "You're a coder, not a leader." Susan nodded, avoiding my eyes.
"We've decided," she said.
"Monica's ready." Monica chimed in, her tone dripping with condescension. "You're great at the tech stuff, Claire. But leadership? That's my thing." I stared at them, the people I had trusted most, as they rewrote my worth. Dawson's Sink was my creation. Countless 18-hour days, endless debugging, pouring my brain into every line of code. And they were handing it to Monica, who couldn't even log into our servers without help. I pushed back, my voice steady but burning. "I built Dawson's Sink. It's the backbone of this company. You really think Monica can run it?" Monica scoffed, rolling her eyes. "I don't need to code to lead," she said. "I've got the big picture." Thomas raised a hand, cutting me off. "Enough, Claire. Resign by Monday or you're done here. Family included." Susan's silence was louder than words, her face a mask of agreement. The betrayal sank deep, like a blade twisting in my chest. I had given everything to Dawson Dynamics, and they were tossing me aside for Monica's empty promises. I could have screamed, thrown my plate, begged them to see reason, but I didn't. I locked eyes with Thomas, then Susan, then Monica, and felt a strange calm settle over me. I'd seen this coming. The rumors, the sidelong glances, the way they praised her vision over my work. I stood up, chair scraping the floor, and forced a smile. "Fine," I said, my voice cold but even. "If that's your choice, I'm done." Monica's smirk faltered for a split second, as if she hadn't expected me to walk away so easily. Thomas's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Susan looked down, fidgeting with her napkin. I grabbed my jacket and headed for the door, pulse racing, steps deliberate. Outside, Ryan was waiting in his car, dashboard glow lighting his face. He took one look at me and knew. "They did it, didn't they?" he asked, his voice low. I nodded, sliding into the passenger seat. "They want Monica as CEO. Told me to quit or lose them." Ryan's hand found mine, Grip tight. They'll see your value, Claire, he said. They'll regret this. I leaned back, staring at the Austin skyline blurring past. They will, I said, my mind flashing to the authentication lock we'd buried in Dawson's code. My fingerprint, my control, that was my ace in the hole. They thought they could erase me, but I'd built a safeguard they couldn't touch. As we drove, the sting of their words lingered. I replayed Monica's smug grin, Thomas's cold ultimatum, Susan's silent betrayal. I'd grown up idolizing my dad's hustle, trusting my mom's fairness, admiring Monica's confidence. Now it felt like a lie. But I wasn't broken. The lock Ryan and I had coded was more than protection, it was power. I pictured Monica fumbling in a boardroom she didn't understand, trying to run Dawson's Sink without me. The thought sparked a flicker of defiance. They'd handed me an ultimatum, but I wasn't the one who would lose. Ryan pulled into our apartment lot. You okay? He asked, eyes searching mine. I nodded, smile real this time. I'm not done yet, I said. They'll see what happens when you bet against me. He grinned, squeezing my hand. That's my girl. I stepped out into the cool night air and felt something shift inside me. The family I'd known was gone, but I had Ryan, my work, and a plan. They'd push me out, but I wasn't leaving empty-handed. 1 week later, my phone blew up like Austin's rush hour. I was in my apartment, sipping coffee with Ryan, when the first call came. It was Carlos, his voice tight with panic. Claire, Dawson's inventory is a mess. Efficiency's down 40%. What's going on? I leaned back, pulse quickening. The authentication lock we'd buried in the code had kicked in right on schedule. Without my fingerprint, the app's core algorithm was choking, and Monica, the new CEO, was out of her depth. Carlos's tone sharpened. Fix this, or we're pulling the contract. That's $100 million on the line. I promised to look into it, but inside, I felt a spark of satisfaction. They'd learn what happens when you push out the one who built the machine. By noon, my inbox flooded. Dawson Dynamics was in chaos. Emails from engineers, servers stalling, clients complaining about delayed shipments. Monica had taken charge, but she was floundering. I got a text from a junior coder. Monica's yelling at us to fix the code, but she doesn't even know where to start. I pictured her in the boardroom, tossing around buzzwords like optimize while the team scrambled. She'd never touched Dawson Sync's source code, couldn't tell a function from a firewall. The office, once my second home, had turned into a circus, and Monica was the clueless ringmaster. Then Thomas made his move. That afternoon, a sleek black car pulled up outside my apartment, and out stepped Daniel Harper, the family's lawyer. He sat across from me, briefcase snapping open like a warning shot. Claire, he said, voice smooth but firm, Thomas needs you back to save the company's legacy. Name your terms. I raised an eyebrow, leaning forward. Legacy. They'd chosen Monica over me. Daniel didn't blink. They're desperate. The board's panicking, clients are jumping ship. Come back, or Dawson Dynamics is finished. I stared at him, the weight of their betrayal still fresh. They'd forced me out, and now they wanted me to clean up their mess. That evening, Susan called, her voice trembling over the line. Claire, don't destroy the company. This is our family's work, your father's dream. Please come back. I gripped the phone, knuckles white. You told me to quit or lose me, I said, tone cold. You made your choice. She stammered, words breaking. We didn't mean it like that. Monica's struggling. We need you. I hung up, chest tight with anger and a strange thrill of power. They'd built their empire on my work, and now it was crumbling without me. Ryan was my anchor. We sat on the couch, the Austin skyline glowing outside. They're begging now, I said, scrolling through Thomas's emails, each more desperate than the last. Ryan grinned, eyes sharp. You've got them, Claire. They can't run Dawson Sync without you. Make them pay for it. His words lit a fire in me. I wasn't going back to gravel. I'd make them see my worth on my terms. We brainstormed, and I decided to consult, but not for free. $2,000 an hour. I told Ryan, voice steady. If they want my help, that's the price. He laughed, pulling me close. That's my girl. Hit them where it hurts. I emailed Daniel that night, laying out my terms. $2,000 per hour, no equity, no apologies accepted. The next morning, he replied, agreed. Start immediately. I felt a rush, like I just played my strongest card. Dawson Sync was my creation, and now I'd use it to teach them a lesson. I planned not just to fix the app, but to set the stage for my next move. The lock was still active, my fingerprint the only key. I helped just enough to keep Carlos's contract alive, but Monica would never touch the core code. This wasn't about saving Dawson Dynamics. It was about showing who really held the power. As I prepared, chaos at Dawson Dynamics grew. Carlos called again, frustration sharp in his voice. Claire, we're losing millions daily. Tell me you're on this. I assured him I'd consult, keeping my tone professional but firm. Monica's failures piled up. Clients tweeted about delays. A tech blog posted, Dawson Dynamics' new CEO fumbles flagship app. I read it, a grim smile spreading across my face. They'd crowned Monica, but she was sinking fast. Thomas and Susan's pleas echoed in my head, but I pushed them aside. They'd chosen their side at that dinner table. Now I was choosing mine. A week later, I walked into Dawson Dynamics like I owned the place. The glass doors swung open, and Brenda Hull, the receptionist, looked up, eyes wide. Claire Dawson, you're back, she said, voice a mix of shock and relief. I nodded, laptop bag slung over my shoulder, heading to a corner office they'd set up for my consulting gig. At $2,000 an hour, I wasn't here to play nice. Carlos had been emailing daily, desperate to stabilize Dawson Sync's performance for his retail chain. I worked remotely with him, granting limited server access to patch the app's output, just enough to keep his warehouses running. Every fix was deliberate. My fingerprint remained the key to the core algorithm, ensuring Monica couldn't take credit. The office buzzed with tension. Engineers darted between cubicles, faces drawn from sleepless nights. Monica's reign as CEO was unraveling faster than a bad startup pitch. During a team meeting in the main conference room, she lost it. I was presenting a temporary workaround to the staff, slides detailing data flow adjustments, when Monica stormed in, face flushed. Claire's sabotaging us, she shouted, pointing at me like I was a criminal. The room went silent. Engineers exchanged uneasy glances. Clients on the video call, including Carlos, raised eyebrows, their confidence visibly shaken. Monica, calm down, I said, voice steady. I'm here fixing your mess. She slammed her hand on the table. You broke the app on purpose. Her accusation hung in the air, making the company look desperate and divided. I kept my cool, but inside I was seething. Monica's outburst was a gift. She'd just exposed her incompetence to everyone. Carlos's voice crackled through the call. If you can't sort this out, we're suing for breach of contract. This is costing us millions. The threat landed like a bombshell, and Monica's bravado crumbled. She stammered, trying to pivot to buzzwords about strategic realignment, but nobody bought it. I stepped in calmly, explaining the patch I'd implemented, reassuring Carlos we'd stabilize the system. The meeting ended with Monica glaring at me, her authority in tatters. Back in my apartment, Ryan was my rock. We worked late, his laptop synced with mine as we fine-tuned Dawson's temporary fixes. You're playing chess while she's playing checkers, Ryan said, fingers flying over the keyboard. I smirked, watching the app's performance metrics tick upward. Every move I made strengthened my position, keeping the authentication lock hidden but active. Then, an unexpected message lit up my phone. Janet Myers, CTO of a rival tech firm in Austin, texted, Claire, your work's the talk of the town. Join us. We value talent. I stared at the screen, mind racing. Leaving Dawson Dynamics for good was tempting, but I wasn't done here yet. I replied, let's talk soon. Later, Thomas cornered me after hours, his face lined with exhaustion. Claire, please, he said, voice low. Fix this for good. The company's bleeding. I crossed my arms, staring him down. You made Monica CEO, Dad. You told me to resign. Why should I save you now? He flinched, eyes pleading. We were wrong. I'm begging you. His words stung, but they didn't soften me. I'd heard enough promises at that dinner table. I'm consulting, I said, tone cold. That's all you get for $2,000 an hour. He walked away, shoulders slumped. I felt a pang of guilt, but only for a moment. They'd chosen Monaco over me, and now they were paying the price. The next day, Carlos called, patience razor-thin. Claire, we're prepping legal action. Your app's still lagging, and Monica's a liability. Fix it or we're done. I assured him I was working on it, but my mind was elsewhere. The authentication lock was my leverage, and I was ready to pull the trigger. Every patch I sent kept his contract alive, but I was laying the groundwork for something bigger. Monica's public meltdown had cracked Dawson Dynamics' reputation, and I was about to widen that fracture. I spent nights sketching my next moves, the plan to reveal the lock taking shape. This wasn't just about saving the company, it was about showing who built it and who could break it. Ryan noticed my focus, eyes narrowing as we worked. You're not just fixing this, are you? I met his gaze, a slow smile spreading. I'm setting the stage. They'll know exactly what I'm capable of. He nodded, grinning. The office might have been Monica's battlefield, but it was my chessboard. Janet's offer lingered in my thoughts, a lifeline if I chose to walk away. But for now, I was in control. Dawson Dynamics was about to learn what happens when you underestimate Claire Dawson. 3 months later, Monica's wedding became my stage. The sprawling Austin estate was draped in white roses and string lights, but I wasn't there to celebrate. I'd been invited as a formality, a nod to family ties that felt more like a trap. I stood at the edge of the reception, black dress sharp against the pastel crowd, watching Monica glide through guests in her gown. Dawson Dynamics board members sipped champagne, oblivious to the bomb I was about to drop. Carlos had emailed that morning, tone clipped. We're cutting half the contract. Dawson's sink's still unstable. The news didn't surprise me. The authentication lock I'd embedded ensured it. Today, everyone would know why. When the speeches began, I seized my moment. Stepping to the microphone, heart steady, I addressed the room. Dawson Sync's core algorithm, I said, voice clear, requires my fingerprint every 72 hours to function. Without it, the app fails. The crowd froze, glasses clinking to a stop. Monica's face turned ashen, bouquet trembling in her hands. That's why your systems are crashing, I continued, locking eyes with the board members. I built it and I control it. Gasps rippled through the guests. Monica shoved through the crowd, voice shrill. You're betraying our family. You sabotaged us. I didn't flinch. You took my company, I said. I protected what's mine. Thomas pushed forward, face red. Claire, take a leadership role, he said, urgent but low. Fix this, and we'll make it right. Susan grabbed my arm, tears streaming. Do it for your sister, Claire, she sobbed. For family. I pulled away, chest tight, but resolve ironclad. You chose Monica over me, I said, looking at them both. You don't get to beg now.